Welcome to this APC mock interview, where today we'll take a look at some questions on the procurement and tendering competency. During the interview, we're going to look at some basic Level 1 questions around the different types of procurement and tendering available, as well as some more complex Level 3 questions on advising clients on the most appropriate options that are suited to their particular requirements. We're going to look at each question in depth and explain some of the answers you can give, and I really hope this improves your understanding of the procurement and tendering competency. Whilst I can't claim to be an expert or an APC assessor, I'm only speaking from my own experience of the APC and having helped a number of colleagues pass their APC over the last 7 years, and I really hope you find this tutorial useful. So without further ado, let's take a look at some questions on the procurement and tendering competency. The first question we'll take a look at is, what are the main procurement methods available? And to address this, we could reference first of all traditional procurement, design and build, management contracting, construction management, and private finance initiative. Another question candidates may be asked is, what items should be considered when selecting a procurement route? And to address this, we could reference the specifics of the project, the form of contracts being used, the client's objectives regarding cost, time, control, quality, and risk. We may receive the following question asking, what is traditional procurement? And to address this, we could say that the design is completed by the client's design team before competitive tenders are invited and a main contractor is employed to build what the designers have specified. A more in-depth question we may receive on this area is, how does traditional procurement work? And to address this, we could say that the contractor takes responsibility and financial risk for the construction of the works to the design produced by the client's design team for the contract sum within the contract period. The client retains the responsibility and risk for the design and design team performance, and as we can see from this diagram, the client retains a direct contractual relationship with the architect, retaining the responsibility for their design. They also have a separate contractual relationship with the main contractor, who takes responsibility for the construction of the works to the design produced by the architect. Look, if you're finding this video useful so far and you're serious about passing your APC, we put together a question and answers revision guidebook, and this will save countless hours compiling revision notes and contains over 1,000 questions and answers based on real-life APC interviews. It also contains example submission documents and explained step-by-step how to complete the APC. Along with the step-by-step guide, there is also a free APC diary template, along with revision mind maps on the RICS hot topics to support your revision. The study guide has helped around 90% of my colleagues pass their APC first time, and I really hope you find this a useful resource when preparing for your APC. Grab it now using the link in the description below. Another question we may receive on this area is, when is traditional procurement appropriate? And to address this, we can say that if the employer has had the design prepared, if the design is substantially completed at the time of contractor selection, it's also appropriate in the scenario where the client wishes to retain design control. It's also appropriate in a scenario where the client wishes to retain control over the design and the specification, and if cost certainty at the start of the project is important. Another factor we may need to consider is that the shortest overall program duration is not the client's main priority due to a lack of overlap between the design and construction. Traditional procurement relies on the design being largely complete, so there is minimum overlap between design and construction phases, which will result in a longer program. We may also be asked a question on the key advantages of traditional procurement. And to address this, we can say that retaining control over the design can lead to higher levels of quality. It offers increased levels of cost certainty before commencement, and design changes are reasonably easy to arrange and value. A follow-up question we may receive is, what are the disadvantages of traditional procurement? And to address this, we could say that the overall project duration may be longer than others due to a lack of overlap between design and construction. There is no input into design and planning by the contractor, and a strategy based on price competition can often lead to adversarial relations. There is also a dual point of responsibility, with the design team controlling the design and the main contractor retaining responsibility for the construction. We'll now take a look at some questions on the design and build procurement route, and a basic level 1 question we may receive is, what is design and build procurement? And to address this, we could say this is where the contractor is responsible for the design, planning, organisation, control and construction of the works to the employer's requirements. A follow-on question we may receive is, how does design and build procurement work? And to address this, we could say that the employer gives the tenderers the employer's requirements, and the contractor responds with the contractor's proposals, which include the price for the works. We can see here the key difference between traditional procurement is that the architect is appointed by the main contractor, meaning that the client has a direct relationship with the main contractor only, with the architect and design team sitting under the main contractor's control. We may receive a follow-on question asking when design and build procurement may be appropriate, and to address this we could say that design and build is appropriate where there is a need to make an early start on the site, as there can be overlap between design and construction phases. It's also appropriate where the client wishes to minimise their risk as they transfer design responsibility to the main contractor. It's appropriate for technically complex projects requiring the contractor's expertise, and where the employer does not want to retain control over the design development. We may receive a follow-on question asking what the key advantages of design and build procurement are, and to address this we can say that there is a single point of responsibility for the design and construction. There is a earlier commencement on site as there can be overlap between the design and construction phases. Early price certainty is increased, and the client can benefit from the contractor's experience increased during the design phases. A follow-on question candidates may receive is what are the disadvantages associated with design and build procurement? And to address this, we can say that clients may find it hard to prepare a sufficiently comprehensive brief. The client has to commit to a concept design early on in the project. Variations from the original brief are difficult to arrange and are often expensive, and it's often harder to compare tenders and harder to determine whether value for money is being achieved. There may also be a risk premium to pay under design and build procurement, as the employer is transferring both construction and design responsibility away to the main contractor. A follow-on question we may also receive is how much design input will the main contractor have? And to address this, we could say that this really depends on the amount of design work the employer has already completed at the time of tender. This can range from full design to production information and coordination only. The next question we'll take a look at is who carries out the design for the contractor. And to address this, we can say that it may be outsourced to a separate design company where the contractor retains design responsibility. The main contractor may also have in-house design capabilities, or the client's design team may be novated across to the main contractor. The next question we'll take a look at is what is management contracts in procurement? And to address this, we can say that this is where a management contractor is employed to contribute their expertise to the design and to manage construction, with a management fee being paid to them for doing so. We may receive a more detailed question on this, asking how management contracting works. And to address this, we can say first of all that the management contractor has direct contractual links with each of the works contractors or trade packages. They have the responsibility for the construction works without actually carrying them out, and not all of the design needs to be completed prior to the first works package being let. The management contractor selects the works contractors through competitive open book tender, and the client reimburses the cost of these packages to the management contractor along with their management fee. The next question we'll take a look at is when may management contracts in procurement be appropriate? And to address this, we can first of all say that where the client does not want cost certainty prior to commencement, as full cost certainty will not be achieved until the last trade package is let. It's also appropriate where an early start on site is a key priority for the client, as there can be good levels of overlap between design and construction phases. A follow-on question we may receive is what are the advantages associated with management contracting procurement? And to address this, we can first of all say that the overall project duration is likely to be shorter due to overlapping design and construction phases. There is a contractor contribution to the design and planning process, meaning that the management contractor's expertise can be harnessed. Changes can be accommodated in packages not yet let, leading to improved levels of design flexibility. The works are let competitively at current market prices on a firm price basis, often resulting in increased value for money for the client. And another question we may receive on this is what are the key disadvantages associated with management contracting procurement? And to address this, we can say that the price for the works is not received until the last package has been let, resulting in reduced levels of cost certainty. Changes to the design of later packages may affect packages previously let, adding to complications within the project. There is little incentive for the management contractor to reduce costs, as they will still receive their management fee. In practice, the management contractor has little legal responsibility for any defaults of the trade packages. The next question we'll take a look at is what is the key issue after a design team has been novated? And to address this, we can say that this is whether the client has a right to take any action against the novated design team for any breaches that have occurred prior to the novation taking place. A A follow-on question we may receive is how does novation affect the employer's rights? And to address this, we can say that they will lose all contractual relations with the novated party and therefore the right to take action for any breaches. However, this can be circumvented by use of a collateral warranty between the employer and the novated party. A follow-on question we may also receive is what is construction management procurement? And to address this, we can say that this is where the employer takes a direct contract with each of the trade packages and utilises the expertise of a directly appointed construction manager who acts as a consultant to coordinate each of the trade packages. We may receive a follow-on question asking how this works in practice, and to address this, we can say that the trade contractors carry out each of the works packages. The construction manager supervises the construction process and coordinates the design team, and the construction manager has no contractual links with the trade packages or members of the design team. Their role includes preparation of the programme, determining requirements for site facilities, and breaking the project down into suitable works packages. It may also include obtaining and evaluating tenders, coordinating and supervising the works, and managing the rest of any appointed consultants. APC candidates may receive a question on when construction management procurement is appropriate, and to address this, we can say that this is normally appropriate on large, complex projects where the advantages of construction management can be utilised, for example using upfront buildability knowledge of the construction manager and their expertise in issuing programme advice, and it also includes harnessing specialist input from each of the trade contractors. It can also be beneficial where an early start on site is key and where maintenance of flexibility in design and construction is important. Price certainty is not considered to be a key client driver, and it's also appropriate where the client is experienced in construction projects as they have an expert team of consultants to manage, and they may also be involved in managing each of the trade packages directly. We may receive a follow-on question on the key advantages of construction management procurement. And to address this, we can say that the overall duration of the project is reduced by overlapping the design and construction phases. Another advantage is that the construction manager can contribute to the design and project planning process. Roles, risks and relationships for all parties are clear, and changes in design can be accommodated without paying a premium. Prices may be lower due to direct contracts with each of the trade contractors, meaning that no management or premium fee is paid to the main contractor, and the client has a means of redress to each of the trade packages as they have a direct contractual relationship. Key disadvantages include price certainty is not achieved until the last trade package is let. Changes to packages may adversely affect packages that have been previously let, resulting in complications to the project. The client must be proactive and hands-on in managing their own team of consultants, as well as having an involvement in managing each of the trade packages. The client also has a lot of consultants and contractors to deal with, which can be very onerous in terms of their time management. Next questions we'll take a look at will focus on the different tendering options that are available, and the first question we'll take a look at on this area is a very high level, level 1 question, and asks what is tendering? And to address this, we can say that tendering is a structured procedure for generating quotations from suppliers or contractors looking to obtain an award of business activity, either under competition or via negotiation with a single contractor. A follow-on question we may receive is what are the main methods of choosing a contractor? And to address this, we can say that there is open tendering, selective tendering, including single or two-stage, there is negotiated tendering, and serial tendering. Another question candidates may receive is what is open tendering? And to address this, we can say that this is an indiscriminate request for tenders to be submitted to the open market. This could be achieved by an advert being placed in local papers or technical press, inviting contractors to apply for the tender documentation. There are little or no barriers to entry needed to submit a tender. A follow-on question we may receive is what are the advantages of open tendering? And to address this, we can say that it provides opportunities for capable firms which a client may not have previously considered. It should secure maximum competition from the open market. The disadvantages of open tendering include increased risk of errors within the tender submission due to a risk of inexperienced contractors that have no prior understanding of the client's requirements. There is also no assurance that the lowest tenderer is capable or financially stable. The total cost and time needed to review the tenders is also increased. A follow-on question we may receive is what is selective tendering? And to address this, we can say that selective tendering restricts the number of tenderers by pre-selecting a limited number of contractors to tender for the work. The next question we'll take a look at is what are the advantages of selective tendering? And to address this, we can say that it ensures only capable and approved firms submit tenders. It tends to reduce the aggregate cost of tendering as there are fewer tenders to consider. It also reduces the risk of receiving tenders from unsuitable contractors. The next question we'll take a look at is what is two-stage tendering? And to address this, we can say that two-stage tendering is where the client seeks to appoint the contractor based on an outline scope of works that is not fully defined. The client then works with the appointed contractor to develop the scope of work and reach an agreed price. It can be used when it's useful to obtain the contractor's buildability expertise on the planning of the project and to gain an earlier contractor involvement. The following question we may receive is what is the purpose of the first stage? And to address this, we can say that the client provides an outline project design to each of the tenderers during this stage. The tendering contractors will submit prices for helping the client develop and finalise the design using their buildability expertise. Tender submissions will typically consist of a schedule of rates that will be used to calculate the agreed price during stage 2, a price for assisting the client with design development and buildability expertise during the second stage, and confirmation of the contractor's overheads and profit percentage. A preferred contractor is then appointed to assist with developing the design further. We may also receive a question checking the candidate's understanding of the term serial tendering, and to address this we can say that serial tendering is where contractors are asked to bid for a project on the basis that if they complete the initial project satisfactorily, other projects of a similar type will follow and the same bill of rates will be applied. A follow-on question we may receive is what issues could selecting the wrong contractor lead to, and to address this we could say that this could lead to a bad client and contractor relationship, a dissatisfied client, and the appointment of an insolvent contractor. The next question we'll take a look at is how would you go about compiling a set of tender documents? And to address this, we could reference the best practice guidance notes that are available, including the JCT Practice Note 2017. And we could say that this suite of tender documents would include an invitation to tender letter. It would also typically include the instruction to tenderers, including the date and time for the tender return, to who the tender return should be submitted to, arrangements for any site visits and the programme requirements, the errors procedure, and a tender scoring matrix. It may also include the conditions of the proposed contract, pricing documentation, specifications, drawings, the employer's requirements, any pre-construction and health and safety information, and a form of tender. A follow-on question we may receive is what is the form of tender? And to address this, we can say that this is a pre-printed formal statement which the tenderer must complete, and the tenderer provides their name, address, and the sum of money for which they offer to carry out the works. A follow-on question we may receive is what are the employer's requirements? And to address this, we can say that they set out the client's requirements, including the function, size, accommodation, and quality requirements of the projects. Their level of detail will often depend on how much design development has been carried out at the time of tender. They normally include the current state of planning permission, and they should also detail the level of design, structure, and specification information to be provided by the tenderers. A follow-on question we may receive is what are the contractor's proposals? And to address this, we can say that they are the contractor's response to the employer's requirements. They are the key documentation for the client to consider at the tender review. They often include plans, elevations, sections, and typical details, and they often include layout drawings and specifications for materials and workmanship. We can also say that they supersede the employer's requirements in the order of hierarchy and take precedence. The next question we'll take a look at is how would you determine the duration of the tender period? And to address this, we can say that this would depend on the procurement process and size of the project. For example, if a traditional procurement route with a bill of quantities is being adopted, then I would usually allow for around a month in order for the main contractor to obtain pricing information from their subcontractors. For large, complex schemes, the tender period would need to be longer. If the tender is the first stage of a two-stage tender, then the tender period may be a shorter duration of around 2 to 3 weeks. We should caveat that it's always better to ensure that there is sufficient time for contractors to tender so the price for the project is correct, rather than rushing and encouraging contractors to price a high-risk element. The next question we'll take a look at is what is negotiated tendering? And to address this, we can say that this is where the client has an existing preference for appointing a particular firm and only negotiates with one contractor. A follow-on question we may receive on this is when might negotiated tendering be used? And to address this, we can say that when the contractor has carried out work successfully for the client previously and where there is an existing relationship. A follow-on question we may receive is how does negotiated tendering work? And to address this, we can say that there is no competition and only one contractor is invited to submit a tender. The contract sum is arrived by a process of negotiation, and schedule of rates or prices from previous projects may be used as a basis of agreeing a price. Another question candidates may receive is what is strategic partnering? And to address this, we can say this is the formation of a long-term relationship that is established with a view to undertaking a number of projects over a long period. Framework agreements are often used to set out the overriding contractual terms, with fixed terms and conditions for future appointments, and projects and services are then drawn down on a project-by-project basis. We may receive another question on partnering, asking what are the key benefits of partnering. And to address this, we could say that the overall construction and design program is often shortened because there is a prior understanding of the client and their requirements from previous projects. The potential for conflict is reduced, communication is improved, pooling of resources and ideas should result in innovative solutions. It often results in improved client satisfaction. There is also a recognition of protecting the profit margin of contractors and suppliers. A team environment is often formed that encourages innovation and technical development, and it often results in improved buildability with early involvement of contractors. Finally, we could reference that there is often better predictability of time and cost. That brings us towards the end of this Q&A practice. I really hope you found this video useful, and please subscribe to this channel to receive ongoing APC support.